for taking us up on the offer to hear about you. I know that sounds like a lot, but you are worth hearing from. And we're hoping that everyone can take advantage of this opportunity to be inspired by Leonora and ask her any questions. So I'll start off the questions and then I'll let you all have the chance to jump in later on to ask her any questions that you have in mind too. Okay. So, first off, tell us about yourself and your background leading up to your current role. What did you do when you were younger? Tell us about it.
Okay. So hi everyone. As Mike said, my name is Leonora Obeng. I was born and raised in Ghana. I spent pretty much my whole life in Ghana. I only moved to Canada 3 years ago. About me, so I do have two degrees. I have a degree in banking and finance, and I also have a law degree. So because of these two degrees, I found myself in like different roles over the years. And I think that's what kept me grounded and, developed my skills up until this point. Um, I currently work at EY Canada as an as a US business immigration attorney.
Ooh.
So basically what I do is I provide legal advice and support to employees of US corporations who are trying to sort of achieve the American dream. So that's what I do currently. And beyond, what I do for career as a profession, I also love to see, I love to put smiles on people's faces, essentially. So you'd find me hosting my friends at my house or watching something on TV, rom-coms to be specific. And I also volunteer at a community center as a tax preparer during the tax season. So it's coming up. And I also volunteer at church. We have a refugee ministry. So I volunteer there as well. And so that's who I am in a nutshell. And I'm really excited to be here today to share my story. And I hope somebody's inspired, pretty much.
That's awesome. Back to back. Mike wants to be your friend. More people can be your friend. As she said, she
Yeah.
likes to put a smile on people's face. She's absolutely hilarious. She'll be making you laugh. So definitely connect with her. She's gonna drop
Hopefully,
her
fingers crossed.
socials. So fingers crossed. It's facts. She's
Yeah.
just a naturally funny person. It's such a delight to be with. So I'm so glad that you're here to share, and you've really, really like gone beyond what we had even expected. We just assumed that you're
Mhm.
just, just in your corner, but you're shining bright. So we thank God for you taking that on. Like even finance and law, that's a whole lot. So
Mhm.
God bless you. So let's take it back a little bit. What made you want to consider this career? Were you thinking about being a lawyer or a financial manager from a young age? Tell us a little bit about your education and your experiences that led you to this decision for your career.
Okay. So I previously mentioned I grew up in Ghana, right? So when
Mhm.
I was growing up, you could only um, study for one of three careers. You were either a doctor, a lawyer,
Lawyer or engineer.
an engineer. Yeah, those were the three. And unfortunately for me, my dad is a lawyer. So it came naturally like, okay, out of the three, I could be a lawyer because my dad is. And I also saw how people treated him in the community, right? He was like a god. If somebody had a problem with their child, with work, with anything, they'll come to him. Like they didn't even know his name. All they knew was, oh, lawyer, lawyer, lawyer. So I'm like, okay, this seems fun. I want to be this important, helping people all the time. And I think one thing that my dad also did was to share like his experiences at work with us. And so it was always these three women. His boss was a woman, and two other colleagues were women. He was always sort of praising them. So I'm like, okay, if I need my dad to like me as much as he likes his colleagues, maybe I should just study law. And so that's how it started. And then I just fell in love with the profession, just helping people. So I'm like, yeah, let me do it. But at the time I was going to the university, law had become a second degree course, much like what you have in North America. So you have to get a first degree first before going on to do law. And so I was like, okay, let me do something else. And my grades could get me into every course that I could think
Nice.
about except medicine, right? Because I didn't do science. So I decided to study banking and finance. And so that's what led me to banking and finance. And then 3 years later, I came back to study law.
Wow, that's impressive. I am so surprised. I was thinking in Ghana, people wouldn't really speak about a lawyer. They'd just be threatening people. But I'm glad they thought about legal advice and that you had a woman who could inspire you. That's so
Yes.
impressive. I'm
Hmm.
so glad that you said that. I'm wondering how many of you guys also only had these three options with your parents. Oh,
Yeah.
pilots. Yes. My dad
Oh, yeah,
also,
there
he
was
wanted to
pilot
be a
too.
pilot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
another top option and they make good money. So
Yeah.
that's, and
Yeah.
it sounds funner. So that's good. Well, that's
Hmm.
good to hear. So when you started to practice law in Ghana, what was it like? What was the environment like? Was it what you expected? How did you enjoy that time?
So I didn't start out practicing law right after I graduated. So
Okay.
after finishing my law degree in Ghana, I went to the US to do my master's. And
Wow.
so when I got back, before I came back, I had an offer from PwC to work in their business restructuring department. So I didn't start out in traditional law, like doing law firm work. I actually started in consulting. And I did that for maybe 2 years and then went in house to act as an in house counsel to a gas infrastructure company. That lasted about a year before I actually started working in private practice, as we call it in Ghana. So traditional law firm where there are partners, associates, senior associates, etc. And you're doing all sorts of things. So in Ghana, firms don't usually specialize in anything because the market is small. And so I found myself doing mostly solicitor type work, which is legal advisory services where you're, handling transactions, providing legal advice, all of that, supporting their legal business within the corporation. So that's what I did. I didn't do much of litigation because I felt it was too intimidating and you needed to do a lot of work before going to court. And I felt I wasn't cut out for that. My clients were happy with what I was doing. So, yeah, I stayed in that corner. But every now and then, your clients may be sued. And so, when those issues came up, because they were my clients, I would still go ahead and represent them in court. But that was like 10% of what I did.
Sorry, I'm just trying to fix my audio. Can you hear me now?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I could too.
Can't hear myself there, so I will manage. Okay, so that's really great to hear. I'm surprised that it's so that your career is so diverse, and it's a good thing that you found yourself being able to help people in your corner and support people. So I hope that inspires a lot of people who are interested in law but are
Mm-hmm.
intimidated by the courtroom, because I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched those shows and how much pressure they put you when things come out unexpectedly, unless that's fake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how similar it
Yeah.
is to
Mm-hmm.
reality when we watch TV.
Well, I mean, courtroom gimmicks is, more of a show. People
Hmm.
just go there to show off. But yeah, it's not for everybody. If it's not for you, it's not for you.
Hmm.
Personally, I don't think it's for me. So
I'm grateful.
I try to stay away.
Okay. That makes sense. That's cool. And so, when you started to support people with their one-on-one cases, like how much work is required for preparation? You said that when you get to the courtroom, it requires even more work when you're focusing on practicing law in a courtroom. What was it like? What's the workload like when you're helping people one-on-one? What's the timeline like? The situations? Can you share a little?
So yeah, so immigration is very sensitive, right? And so people want you to file their cases like yesterday, but there are processes that you need to follow. So it's easy to tell the client, you know what, I can't move past this stage because maybe there's a waiting period. I have to wait for something to happen before I can move on to the next stage. And so you really can't do anything about that. There are times when we expedite people's cases because they're running out of time and you need to file so that they can be in status within the US. So yeah, we would, move them up the queue just so that we can process them faster. But otherwise, yeah. And we have, I'll say when I started, I had maybe 300 cases, 300 to 400 cases running every week, but there are different stages, right? So it's not scary. And
Okay.
then now it's moved to about 150 because the client is different and I'm doing different things for them. So
Okay. That's such relief. Once you said 300, I was so worried everyone would just lose hope.
no,
So that's
no.
awesome.
And I think our business is structured such that they can email us very often, but you can't call us as much as you'd want, right? And so every time you try to schedule a call with an attorney, it's going to cost you money. And so they try not to schedule too many calls, but you keep getting the emails like, I want to travel. This is my situation. You think I should travel? Should I wait? Should I do this? You know,
Oh,
all
okay.
of that. So, yeah.
That's good. As people
Mhm.
who may be potential customers of yours, if we are in these scenarios, what are some things you would suggest? Like, what's a scenario that we could relate to that we can keep in mind? Can you think of one? I know, sorry, I didn't.
So, pretty much being honest with your application is what the attorney needs to, make your case stronger. So if you go to an attorney and you lie about your history, like your immigration history, your employment history, then they really can't help you because the application can go so far. But these, government agencies have information. They don't throw away stuff like that. So they keep these documents on your file. And so if you've lied previously and you come to me and you don't tell me you lied previously, I put in your application, it will come back to me and say, hey, can you clarify X on this date you did this? Da, 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 da. We filed cases for people who had simple DUIs, traffic offenses, minor, but it would still come up. And so at that point, they'll say, can we see documents that you paid your fine, you did community service, like all of these things. So if you disclose it at the start, I know and I'm able to make a case for you. And so in your application, I'm going to say, hey, this person committed this misdemeanor, but XYZ, he paid a fine, and he's been an upstanding member of the community since, this time. It's been 5 years, like nobody knows about this. Can we approve his case? So just be honest.
Got you. We don't want anyone to dig out the demons out of your closet, everyone.
No.
Don't want to
I
hand out.
mean, and even if, so that we can get ahead of it. And
Yeah,
then,
exactly. We want to start from the get-go so that they don't have to go and dig, everyone, okay?
yes, yes,
So
that's
just
it.
to confirm, what's the process when someone needs your service? Can you explain what process they have to go through?
So I work for EY Canada. I don't know
Mhm.
if you guys know, it's a professional services firm that specializes mainly in consulting work, tax, and audit. And so our clients, and we have a law firm within. So for the law firm, our clients are mainly US corporations. We don't take individual cases. Yeah, so that's how we do it. We just
Mhm.
deal with the corporations and not
Okay,
the individuals. So
I
once
wanted to
we
make sure.
engage the corporations, then they hand over their employees to us and then they become our clients.
Okay, that's what I thought. In case anyone
Mhm.
just came into the conversation where she said, I can help you immigrate, wanted to make you aware of anything you may have missed in the past. Okay. So
Um,
it's just with the corporation. So to confirm, the corporation, they may have someone who works in Canada who they want to maybe bring over to America. That's the
it's
type of.
possible.
Okay.
It's possible. I mean, people are moving people all the time. It's what global mobility is all about. So you're moving somebody from Ghana to Canada. You're moving somebody from Canada to the US. It's happening
Nice.
every single day. So as long as you're qualified for the role and there's a position, yeah,
Got
somebody will make you an offer and you can come over.
That's great. Well, touching on that, mentioning moving from Ghana to here, I want to go back to you mentioning you going to Harvard. So once you told me that, I was like, oh my gosh, I am
Oh,
dealing
that.
with a. I already knew your brilliance, but I'm like, your IQ is in a different level. So share with us how that idea came to mind and what was the process getting there.
Okay. So I've always told people, like, whatever situation you find yourself, find an opportunity there, right? And then just take advantage of it. So when I went to law school, I was always looking for opportunities. And I remember applying to law firms outside of Ghana just to intern at, and I got in one in Nigeria, and my parents said, no, you can't go.
Of course.
So I had to shelve that. And then I started looking at other opportunities, and there was summer school. So it was organized by the World Intellectual Property Organization.
World.
And they had like a 2-week program that happened in Virginia. And so I applied to that and I got in. And I remember my cohort had all sorts of people. So mainly lawyers, international lawyers. Some were practicing outside of the US, some were practicing within the US. And then there were some that were students in the US. And so I had conversations with them like, yeah, you're from Russia. How did you get here? So just listening to their stories got me interested. And so I get back, and then I'm getting all these emails from schools saying, oh, we have this LLM program. We think you should apply. So I'm like, okay. So the one that caught my interest was the UPenn LLM. At the time, was also offering a business certificate from their Wharton Business School. So with my business background, I thought, okay, this will be fantastic for me because I've always wanted to do something still within business. And so let me apply to this UPenn program. So I applied to the UPenn program, got in. I think the only funding they gave me was about 2,500.
Pocket change.
So yeah, so I held on to it, deferred, and then told myself if I could get into UPenn the first time, I could get into any school. So I decided to try other schools, and that's when Harvard came in, and I applied and got in.
That's
and
awesome.
Deferred again.
Deferred again. Did you want Princeton?
Well, so at the time that I got into Harvard, I was in my second year of law school in Ghana. So I decided to finish law school before attending so that if any other opportunities came up while I was in school, I'll just not have to look back and return to Ghana. So that's what happened.
That's very strategic. You guys hear that? Look for the opportunities. See if one door opens. You got to ask all the doors to
just
open.
Opening them.
Knocking. Keep on knocking. That's awesome. I'm so glad to hear that. So what was the experience like studying there? Were you intimidated? Were you nervous?
Oh my God. It was intense. It really was intense. And they put us with the JD. So the JDs are like their undergrad law students. And then we were the master's law students. So I think the master's students had a more chill attitude because most of us were already lawyers from our home country. So we really didn't care. The JDs, though, they were starting. So they were very competitive. And so, yeah, you just had to fight back and prove to them that you were as good as they were. What I also found interesting was how they taught. It wasn't what I was used to back home in Ghana, where your professor comes and then just teaches, like reads or teaches you. There isn't a lot of engagement back and forth, But in law school, we did have some banter in class every now and then. But here it was different. Teachers were teaching using like panel system where you have a panel that's sort of leading the discussion for a day. We had seminars, we had actual lectures, it took all sorts of methods to teach. And I found that very interesting. And, if one method didn't work for you, another will. And the other thing they used to also do was cold calling, which again, I wasn't used to. So like professor has a question in mind, just looks at his list and then
just called your name.
Like,
wow.
You have to answer. So before you go to class, you have to be super prepared, like go through the reading material in detail. And that's also shaped me a lot in my career. Like before you go into a meeting, like know what the meeting is going to be about, prepare before you go so that you're not, blindsided by anything, because you can't know all of the law, right? The law sits in books. So
okay.
I can't have it all in my little head. So yeah. Just a way to prepare before you meet a client.
Okay. So when you say that you had to read, like, I always envisioned like large textbooks and you guys having to read like a book's worth, like an actual novel's worth each week. Is that what it was like?
You get used to it if that's your life.
Yeah.
So I know people that did law school and worked at the same time. That's hard. I don't see myself ever doing that. Like I did that for about a month when I first started because I was still working, but it's not sustainable really. And so you really have to give it the time and the dedication that it needs. It requires you sitting down 24 hours a day, reading, understanding, having discussions with your friends, trying to get their perspective as well, it's a lot. So
Eat,
yeah.
breathe, and sleep law, basically. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then one last
Mm-hmm.
question about that. You said your classmates were competitive. So did that come out? Were you guys given like assignments where you had to compete against each other? What do you mean by them being competitive?
So it's not so much competing against each other. So they could put you in groups and then you all
Oh,
have to present on different things, or different people present on different dates. And I don't know how the professors are grading us, right? So
okay.
they are grading because it's part of
Mhm.
the course, and they have to grade you for that. So that's how they got competitive. But I think LLMs, we really didn't care.
Yeah, for sure. You've been there, done that. So that's
Yeah, like,
understandable. Okay, that
we
makes
will
sense.
do that.
Cool. And
Mhm.
so once you finished that, what made you want to come to Canada? What was that process like?
So Canada, my one of my friends that I made at Harvard, very good friend of mine, told me about Canada and said, "Oh, there's this program, which is called the Express Entry for skilled workers, federal skilled worker program." Yeah,
Yeah,
that one. So
exactly.
she's like, "Yeah, it's a point-based system. I think you should do it. My siblings and I are doing it. Everybody's doing it." So
Okay,
I did it and
nice.
just kept it at bay. And then after a while, I was like, yeah, I think I need something different. I've lived in Ghana all my life. It's time to explore, like go off on my own without any parents, no
Mhm.
friends, nothing, and see what Canada has to offer. So I had been sitting on my PR for about 3 years, and then 3 years ago, I decided, yeah, you know what? Let's see what this country has to offer. So I moved, and so that's what brought me here.
That's great. So did you have your role at EY once you moved, before you moved, or after?
So I think before I decided to move, I had like a plan, a timeline to say I need to move by a certain time because before you can renew your PR, you must have lived in Canada for 2 years in the last 5 years, some
Yes.
weird month like that.
Mhm.
So I had that in mind, and it was right after COVID as well. So I was thinking if I wanted to move out here and work as an attorney, I needed to get barred. So after COVID, the bar program changed for Canada.
Oh,
So if you're an international trained lawyer, there are two things that you have to do. You have to do some form of Canadian foundational courses, 5 of them during my time, before you can qualify to take the actual bar exam. But the foundational courses moved online in 2021 or so after COVID. So I actually did those foundational courses while I was still in Ghana.
oh,
And
okay.
so by the time I moved here in May of 2022, all I had to write was my barristers and solicitors, which I did in that same year. So, within 6 months, I was done with my exam. And another thing, I don't know about you guys, people on the call, but I think I'm Christian. I am Christian. And so my faith is very important to me. So
Mhm.
before I moved, I had a conversation and I told God that if He really wanted me to move, I need to find a job before I move out here. And that's what happened for me. I had interviewed at different places, but the only company that gave me an offer was EY. And EY also gave me the offer not because I was an attorney in Ghana or I was on the path to becoming barred in Canada, but because I was barred in the US. And
Ah,
so there you go again, like with opportunities. When I went to the US, even though I stayed for a year, I made sure that I took the bar before leaving. Like, what do you have to offer me? I took it all. So yeah, they had the bar exams. I took it. And yeah, so that's how I got my current role because it's a US attorney role, not a Canadian role.
okay, got you. The EY is global, right?
EY is global.
That makes sense. Okay, so God had it in his plans already. No,
Yeah.
if you went to Nigeria instead,
Right?
so
It
it
was
makes
here.
That's right. We thank God for that. So I know that you were used to the bar, I'm assuming, or the questions that would have been asked on the bar because you had been a lawyer before.
Mhm.
For people who were your juniors, what was the bar like? I heard that some people, even if they are experienced in law, they don't always pass the bar on their first try. So, what would you suggest, or what are the stats like? And what would you suggest to anyone who is trying to be a lawyer but is really terrified about how hard they say the bar is?
I was going to say which of the bars.
Question. You can tell us about them,
Because
whatever you prefer. How was the bar in Ghana? How was the bar in the US?
so the bar exam in Ghana is not separate from the legal education, I'd say. So once you're in law school, your final exams becomes your bar exam.
That makes
So
sense.
once you pass that, you're a lawyer.
Yeah, why stress?
Right? Very straightforward. But these days, I don't know what's going on. People are failing every time. I don't know what they're doing wrong. I don't know if the questions are too difficult or they're not applying themselves. I just don't know what is going on. But it was pretty straightforward. My approach to learning is understanding the material and then applying them to real life scenarios or whatever scenarios that are put before you. So if you're only trying to learn things by rote, and not understanding the principles behind them, then if you're asked the questions, it'll be difficult for you to answer. That's basically it, in my opinion. So I don't know what the people that are feeling and doing, right? But that's my little advice to them.
Okay.
Um, the US bar was multiple choice and a few essays. And so again, you have to know the material and yeah, back to back. And the advantage is that you have some essays to cushion your marks, your overall marks. So even if you don't get all of your multiple choice questions correct, the essays would help because the essays are sort of like real scenarios that they give you, and then they'll give you like a dummy law to say, hey, this is a fake law, use it to resolve these issues in this case. So
Oh,
that's easy if, yeah. So if, but yeah, that multiple choice questions are more, carry more weight than the essays. Yeah.
oh.
And I'm told that the process has changed since I took the bar 11 years ago or so, or 10, I can't remember. Yeah, so I don't know what they're doing now, but I know it's following the same procedure.
Okay.
The Canada one is also multiple choice,
Okay.
but it's open book, so
Wow, even
even
better.
better, right? Even
That is
better. And I just,
great.
yeah, it's very good. I describe it to people as the sword drill game that we played in church as kids.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So you put your Bible on your head, they mention a verse, and then you have to open it. So the faster you are,
Mhm.
the more chances of getting the correct answer. Like the faster you are and knowing the content of the Bible would get you the right answer. And
Right.
so in taking the Canadian bar exam, solicitors, barristers, you really should know the material where they are. And
Mhm.
you should also know how to flip very fast to get to the answer,
Mhm.
essentially. So it's speed and also
Okay.
knowing the material and then applying the law because it will be right in front of you. If you're not able to apply it, you won't be able to answer the question correctly. But it's easy. Of the three processes, I would say that's the easiest
Okay,
because you
that's
have your book.
great. I hope that encourages some of you who want to be a
Yeah,
lawyer.
yeah, yeah. You have your book right next to you.
Uh-huh.
You mark it up as best as you can and just go in and then just copy and paste, copy and paste.
That's awesome. Okay, that's great. With the doctor situation, in Canada, there's so much competition in medical school. So Canadians are going to the US and the like. So I was curious if it's the same with law. But now I hope that some of the the people who want to go to study law can stay in Canada and we can retain our talents. So that's really
Yeah.
good. And
But
so,
let me add that this is only Ontario.
oh, okay.
So I don't know what's happening in other provinces. I've heard some provinces are easier than others. So yeah,
Okay. That gives me
if you
hope.
want a less challenging bar exam, maybe try another province.
Okay, I'm hoping that some of
Mhm.
us or the majority of us are in Ontario. If you're not, hopefully you're also in a a province that's just as easy. And then just briefly back to your role supporting corporations in America with immigration. Right now, we know that there's so much people who were trying to immigrate to Canada from Ghana and other countries around the world. And also, of course, American dream. A lot of people see US and see no problems. So when it comes to immigration, is there some things that you're seeing with Trump being in power that is affecting the corporations that you're working with? And because some of us may also want to go to the US. What do you what do you think?
Anybody in Canada who's trying to move to the US, I'll just say, yeah, just stay here for now. Because things are changing pretty quickly in the US now. Like every day we wake up to some news, right? They are canceling like humanitarian programs. They're proposing travel bans. We haven't seen the travel bans yet, but yeah, it's coming up. Canadians are being detained at borders. People are, yeah, like there's so much going on, even if you have a Canadian passport. So people are anxious, I'll tell you that for sure. Like they're very, very anxious. And so we're also doing our best to try and manage them while managing the situation as well. So if, for instance, somebody is in, let's say, a humanitarian status, right? So let's say an asylum seeker, and now they're canceling those programs. If we can find them in like an employer sponsored status, which is like a work permit, then we want to advise them to switch to that permit so that they can continue to live and work in the US legally. Because otherwise, once these programs are terminated or once they expire, you'll be out of status. And yeah, once they find you, they're just sending you back wherever they want or back home. So people just should stay put. Wherever you are, just stay put. Don't move.
Okay, that's a good point. Oh, wow, that's so worrisome and disheartening. But
Yeah.
yeah, we gotta stay hopeful and just pray that these next 4 years really hurry up and or
Mhm.
even just change. Let's pray
Yeah.
that God touches that person's hearts and that's
Mhm.
whole party, that political party's heart. So that's good. Okay, so let's not go dwell too much on the the downside, the downing part. But I wanted to ask again, any other advice you would give to someone who is considering law or pursuing law, and then we'll get to other things that you're doing. So, do you have any other suggestions you can share?
I mean, so for me, one thing that has worked for me all throughout my life is having mentors. So,
Mhm.
and mentors come in different shapes and forms. So, like I mentioned to you, my dad's boss when I was growing up was a woman, and his favorite colleagues were women. So, even though they didn't know that they were my role models, they were. And so we'd go to their house or they would come to our house and I'll talk to them, just to get a sense of where they are at. And even for one of them, when she stopped working with my dad, I still followed her, like, not on social media at the time, but, I just followed her career through my dad. And she was a political figure as well. So I'll just read about her and see where things are at.
Hmm.
I've also found peer mentorship to be very helpful because, like, you have friends that are doing amazing and they can offer you advice that are invaluable. Like, you really should tap into that. And for me, I have so many peers that I reach out to from time to time. We connect, learn about each other, what's going on in our lives. But more importantly, like, if I have questions relating to my career, I'm able to go to these people as well. And finally, the other group of mentors that I love are like the reverse mentors. So people that are younger than me
Okay.
or younger in the profession. And so I've mentored people and I speak to them and I learn from them and I also connect them to other people. So it's just like
A community.
mentorship in its totality. Like, just take advantage of everybody and anybody, within your circles and just develop yourself through them, with them. Yeah.
Definitely. That's so great. Yeah. When I was in my first year of university, my professor at a general business class, my professor said that mentorship, or not mentorship, but networking is key. And I was so
Mm-hmm.
nervous because I felt like a lot of people were just using each other. But then I was able to build relationships over time that really
Yeah.
advised me, take this class, don't take this class, apply for
Mm-hmm.
this company, don't apply for this company. This is what's going to be on the test. That was great. So building that
Yeah.
community, I wish I had done that in high school. I wish I had a mentor who would take me and shake me and say, try
Mm-hmm.
this, try
Mm-hmm.
that. So it's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
great to hear that
And
from you.
sometimes you don't see your worth, right? So it's the person next to you who would say, "Hey, I think you can do this. I think you're good at that. Could you try this? Could you try that?" So
That's
those,
awesome.
yeah.
Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Well, I want to turn the mic over to the audience. If anyone wants to ask Leonora any questions, and then I'll let Mike jump in to ask some of his questions.
Yeah. Easy questions, please.
Yes, and Mary brings up good points. You don't want to suffer in silence. You want to let
Mm-hmm.
people know that you need some help. You never know. Sometimes just
Yeah.
sharing one thing that's on your mind can lead to a resolution. So
Yeah.
speak up. All right, does anyone want to ask any questions? I think I tried my best to capture all the things that you may all want to know, but our brilliant guest here. So maybe that's why we don't have any hands up. Put your hands up if you
Okay.
have
That's good. That's good.
that. Great. Okay, I'll pass over the mic to Mike.
It seems people don't have questions because majority of us on the line are big fans of Lenora, you know.
Oh my God,
Uh,
Mary.
Yes, we
trust
Mary, I'm
are.
me,
blushing right now.
you will be surprised how many people when they heard about you coming, they're like, "Oh my God, that's my girl."
Ah,
So
Yeah.
again, you are a mentor that maybe some people you don't know that you're mentoring or people are looking up
just
to
like
you.
you
And I think
said.
that's one of the things I really love about our community that people serve as leaders, but not in a
Mhm.
direct way. And
Yeah.
so as you're on this platform, I know you may have a question, a comment, even if it's an encouragement, because I think sometimes, yes, we hear many things, but when we hear from our own, it kind of boosts us up in the things that we're doing. And so personally to me, I'm very happy that you are here to share your experience. Especially, coming from Ghana all the way to here and practicing here. And at times in our community, we make it seem as if it's not possible that someone can go to school in Ghana and continue their education here. And I always say, through people like you sharing your knowledge and experience, we too who come as new students here, and I was hoping more of the international students would even be able to come and hear that yes, you can come here with an ex education from back home and
Mhm.
still be able to succeed when you come here. And so thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
and sharing and continue to do the amazing work. Make us proud so that when we walk around, I always tell people she looks just like me. We have same
Yeah.
cheekbones, we're twins. And so, so keep doing the good
Yeah.
work you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much, Mary. I remember when she reached out to me, I'm like, oh, there are going to be other people speaking. She's like, no. I'm like, no, I can't do this. But yeah, I'm very honored to be here and thank you for having me.
Yes, we are pleased to have you too. Kwame has a question. He said, how does your practice of law in Canada differ from your experience in Ghana?
Good question.
Hmm. So I'd say I work for individuals now compared to when I was home. And at home, I had a lot more control over the clients versus here, somebody else has control and then I'm just working under that person. And so I would sort of lead all my meetings, come up with a strategy, present it to the clients directly. If they don't want it, yeah, we go back and rework it. I also find that back home, um, my network was bigger. So even if I had a question, there was something that I couldn't resolve internally within my firm, I could pick up the phone and call my friend from another law firm to say, hey, can you help with this? How would you do this? But here, my network is very small. All I have is people within my organization. And sometimes you don't even want to go directly to them. Like you want to hear somebody else's perspective. But yeah, that's one difference that I see between the two.
So I would say you're still building your network
I am.
here because I find the lawyers I work with, they know each other. So I'm in healthcare. They know each other, and so when we're going through policies or something, you're like, this doesn't work here. Let me find out what UHN does. And so we're able to tap in. But then I think it's also because individuals went to school together. So there is that, interaction that because I went to school with so and so, I'm actually connected to call them to find out how do they do this in their
Exactly.
institution. So a follow-up question that Kwame also has is, if you had a chance to do it all over again, what if anything, what would you change about your career path?
Nothing. I don't think I would trade it for anything in the world, because even though I didn't get to start out as a lawyer in my career, like working as an auditor for 3 years before going to law school taught me so much. It was my first work experience. And how audit works is that you work across industries. And so today I'm at Unilever, tomorrow I'm at EcoBank, tomorrow I'm in this organization. And so you're learning from within and then outside of your industry. And so that taught me a lot. I made lifetime friends in those places. Like even today, I still call some of my clients to say, hey, I need this. Can you help this person? Like, I built a solid network as an auditor, and I only just built on that when I became a lawyer. So I don't think I'll do it differently, not for anything in this world. No.
And I'll let we have Mike's question next. I don't know if Mike, if you want to ask. Should give me a second. Okay.
No, like I actually just wanted to know, is it fufu banku or is it jollof or what's it?
You had a question before that.
I'm just playing. But no, it's like honestly awesome conversation.
Mm.
Leonora, like and Stephanie, like I really appreciate like learning about your journey. And I just wanted to know, so, for yourself, like what has been your proudest moment thus far in your career?
Hmm. I don't know if it's in my career, but in my life, I can think of one. But in my career, hmm.
Don't underplay yourself.
let me.
You can get back
In
to us.
my career, I think there've been so many highlights. In my career. Let me do my life. I like the my life one.
I love that. I love that.
my my life. So one of the things that I thought I could control since I was a kid was studying. So all you have to do for your parents, they put you in school, study, get good grades. That's all. Like it's not difficult, I thought. So I was that kid who was always studying. Like I would be in the study room reading every time. And so my mom would say to me, Cambridge. And so she kept saying that, like every time she saw me with a book, she'd say, Cambridge. And so little did I know, I knew the school, the university, right? Cambridge University. But little did I know that Harvard is also situated in a city called Cambridge. And so when I got in, I'm like, yes, I finally made it. Make Cambridge, not directly, but
I
another form
love
of
that.
Cambridge. But yeah, that motivated me. So career-wise, I would say proudest moments will be when I started at the law firm. I started out as an associate, and yeah, I think within a year I had made senior associate. So yeah, even though people were like, yeah, this is different, it's not what you're used to in consulting, but yeah, it's all the same.
Oh, I love
And
that.
I really did. I think also because people had put the fear of God in me so much. When I went in, I was humble enough to identify a mentor, and this particular person I actually said to, I spoke to her and I said, you know what? I want you to teach me everything you know about the law. And she did. And she said, I'm going to do it in a year. And within the year, she was leaving the firm. And she's like, I promised I would give you a year of my time, and I think you're ready. And that was it. So, yeah, mentorship again.
Mhm.
I love that. And a quick follow-up to, question too. And like, I probably may have missed it. You may have answered it already, but so this being an event called Inspired to, from within, um, who has inspired you the most on your journey, and what inspires you?
I won't say it's just one person. It's been a collective. So I grew up in a closely knit community where like all the aunties and uncles were very active in your life. Like, you know, when you're talking to a boy, they're going to report you to your parents, and your parents gave them, you know, an implied permission. Like, yeah, if you see them talking to a boy, let me know. It's not the same now, but these people shaped me. And so I think they also had dreams for me, and they wanted to see me in a certain position. And so it's my family, it's my friends, it's everybody. I want them to be proud of the strict parenting, the strict guidance that they gave me as a child and growing up. So that's really what inspires me, and I feel I need to pay it forward because somebody did it for me. I also need to do it for other people. So all of this just sort of
Oh, that's
gives me a
beautiful.
kick and inspires me.
No, that's beautiful. And then, we're gonna take this here. So, I want you to imagine you, when you were young, with like, let's say 9-year-old Lenora with her
Mhm.
friends. What, like, if you could go back in time and speak to them, what are some of the words that you would tell them, or what would you share with them? 9-year-old Lenora and her friends. I want to
I,
visualize this.
I think I'll just say I told you so, or like watch me, I told you I'll do this. So I grew up in Ghana, and the school that I went to, every year you'd go to a different class, and your class teacher would ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? It was such a mundane question in my school. So every year I'd say I want to be a lawyer. Year in, year out, I'd say I want to be a lawyer. And so by class 6, everybody in the school, all my classmates were calling me Lawyer BBU, which is Ga. It means small lawyer. And so, yeah, I was that person who was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. If I had to fight, I will fight. Yeah, but not physically, but with my words. And so, yeah, through secondary school, everybody was still calling me Lawyer BBU or LB. But by the time I got to the university, the name had disappeared because I was in business school and not law school. So yeah, I was like, yeah, what are you doing? But now I am a lawyer, and so I could tell them in your face, like I did it. I said I would, and I did.
I love that. You told them, you told them so, and you did. No, I don't know. No, like, no, that's really, really amazing. And I think there's a question in the chat that said, so, what's next for you? And can you also be Mary's mentor?
No, to the second
Oh,
one.
and let me add on to that. It's tied together. Maureen also asked, what's next for you? And then do you have plans to bring some of your experience and expertise back to Ghana? So you can tie those together.
So yeah, the plan has always been to go back to Ghana, and so that's in the works for sure. But I think I want to also at some point move into Canadian law for a bit before I actually move into Ghana because I'm still doing US law now, and so at some point just sort of transition into Canadian law practice and then go back home and serve in whatever capacity that I can. Because I think I miss Ghana, Ghana misses me. Yeah, simply that.
That's awesome. Nathaniel wants you to carry him, but I don't think we can let
Okay.
two of you people go. But we'll see.
Whoever wants to come should join. Yeah, it will be fun.
But you know what? No, honestly, this has been a very, very inspiring session. Seriously, it's like I'm very proud that we had you as our guest for this month, and it's like just um watching your journey or listening to your journey. It is very inspirational for folks that were born back home to like visualize and need to see themselves being
Mhm.
amazing, and
Yeah.
then that's what you are. And like we're very honored that you chose to spend this Friday night to impart with us a little bit of your journey.
Right?
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
Or sleeping.
Exactly, right? no, no, but it's so it's like, I mean, a bit more on the fun side though. So I mean, just to kind of loosen up. I'm actually serious. What's your food? If you had the choice, banku or fufu? I'm serious now. Banku or fufu? Yeah.
Have question, but I don't eat banku, so I mean, my only choice is fufu. But I also don't
Uh,
eat added fufu. I eat tim tim. So if it's not
yeah.
that I'm eating, yeah.
Okay, so are you Jollof gang or Watch people?
Hmm. Because I make better watch, I would say wachi.
Hey, it says, are you yam or plantain? If you had the choice.
Oh, yam for sure. Plantain is too hard. I can't do the work of chewing. No.
Hey, this is a you. This is tough. Oh. So what about this? How's a cocoa or regular cocoa?
Oh my God, regular cocoa, Mori cocoa, that one.
Eh, oil cocoa. Oh
Yeah,
my
Mori
goodness.
cocoa. Yeah.
So winter time or summertime?
Summer, any day. I'm Ghanaian, born and bred,
Right, she's from Ghana. What you expect?
Hey, so
right?
some Ghanaians have loved the winter time. Oh, maybe I'm just making sure.
Not me. I turn my
Um,
space heater on even in the winter when the building has the heater on. So no.
nah, like this has really been awesome. Like, is there a place or a space where people could connect with you? Or where's the best place where people could connect with you and find you? Yeah.
Find me on LinkedIn any day. My name is Leonora Abena Ohenyobing on
She's on
LinkedIn.
our platform, people.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Hey, you guys
yeah,
have a
we'll talk
platform?
about that offline, Mary.
Yeah, so search her name. You guys saw the flyer. You search it up. You'll find her on LinkedIn for now.
Yeah, I am on LinkedIn for sure. I am on the women's group though. Not on the main one, but on the women's group. Yeah, you can find me there too.
mm, you know what? Like, we're actually gonna say this though. So like you have the mic. This is your moment. Any last words of like inspirations that you want to impart before we win the Zoom. This is your moment to shine. This is like you're quotable right here. Woo! I'm just playing. But any last words that you like to share? About just you, anything.
I mean, just to be confident in yourself, right? Most of you have an advantage, like an advantage that I didn't have. And I've still been able to break through. And so I feel like you're capable, you can do it. Don't sell yourself short. Like I have an accent, I have a thick accent, but that doesn't matter, right? I'm I'm still leading discussions at work. I'm doing all these things and let your work speak for itself. Like you know what you once you know what you're doing, like you know your material, you know the information, you know everything, they're not going to pass you over for the next person. They will recognize you and reward you accordingly. So let's be more confident. Let's speak up. And yeah, it can only get better from here. Oh, and I guess as a collective, all of us on this platform, those here, those who are not here, I think we should also lend a hand to the younger ones and then raise them up as we're going up so that, when we're no longer there, we can see them at the top as well and not leave a vacuum.
I love that, ladies and gentlemen. So this has been our guest, Miss Lenora Ohene Obey. Come on
Hey,
now. And I get the fire emojis in the chat for it. Like, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And so for you guys, make sure that you guys also tune in. Our next event will be on Friday, April 25th,
okay.
2025. we our guest would be the one and only Nana Abba Duncan, a journalist for CBC. So I'm excited for that one too. And once again, Leonora, Stephanie, and everybody here, like we thank you guys so much. Leonora,